Hello friends, Howard. I hope you're doing well. Today is March 19th, um, and today is going to be slightly different than the way we've been doing it, seeing as we have been doing this consistently for about 7 or 8 sessions now. I was thinking we would up the difficulty today. So today we're going to be a little bit more strict on our timings and the speed of our flow. We're going to move a little bit more quickly. The goal I want to hit is getting through our main sequence in just under 30 minutes to allow for a very restorative end session to our practice today. We'll start out same as usual. We'll start in a standing breathing practice, moving into our Sun Salutations for about 10-ish minutes, into our bulk flow, which is going to take a lot of what we've been practicing over the past couple of months and incorporating it on a larger scale a little bit more quickly, considering I know many of you already are familiar with some of the stuff that we're going to be doing today. And then we'll end, much like usual, hopefully with a little bit more time on the tail end to sit and exist together for a moment. I do really enjoy trying to have that longer time, and much like a lot of things, I keep saying we're going to do them and they just don't happen. So today, the goal is for them to happen. That was a lot. I know it came out pretty fast. I'm going to start reeling it back, slow it down, bring it together. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. Okay, so we'll start in our standing mountain position. We'll practice our breathing for just a minute, making sure we find our balance between our left and right sides. If you ever had a Wii Fit board growing up, you're calibrating the board and you try to balance that weight exactly in the center. You have a little dot trying to balance it on the screen. This is my imaginative practice here, focusing as if we're standing on that Wii board. Deep inhales and exhales from the stomach. Maybe starting to notice some imbalances or tensions we're hiding in our body today. Making sure we're aware of any strangeness we're feeling so we can best address those ourselves, making sure we don't push beyond our own limits for this practice. Maybe taking just 1 second on our inhales, bringing our arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we release them down. Take 2 or 3 more of these. Trying to keep those shoulders down as we lift our arms up. Without wasting any time, we'll move right into our Sun Salutations today. Again, like normal, first time is for free. I'll speak to everything. Second one will get a little bit faster, still talking through it. And then maybe the third and fourth will be individual, kind of at the pace of our own breath, at whatever style we want to go to. And then we'll move on from there. Jumping right into it then. Inhale, arms go up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we swan dive, we forward fold, coming down towards the ground, keeping our glutes as high as possible. We inhale, we lift halfway, our backs are flat, our body at a 90-degree angle. Exhale, we fold down, bending our knees, walking our hands and or feet out, coming into that first downward facing dog. Head is dangling between our biceps here. Our fingers are spread out wide. Our body is shaped like a triangle. We'll inhale to bring ourselves forward, coming into our first plank. We can adjust as needed. From our plank, we can be high on our feet, or we can be low on our knees. It doesn't particularly matter. We rotate those elbows in. We exhale, we chaturanga, come down. Inhale, press up into our upward facing dog. We try to relax our glutes here while we press our pelvis down towards the ground. Our spine is going parabolic. Shoulders pull away from the ears here. We don't drop our neck into that one. We need to stay nice and strong. Next exhale, we open our hips, we press back into our first child's pose. Arms stay out in front of us, our midsection and torso press into our hips. Knowing that child's pose is our sitting or our kneeling resting position, and at any time throughout our practice, we can go to mountain, we can go to child's pose, we can take a second and find our steady breathing, recollect ourselves, and take a second to feel at peace. On that next inhale, we come up to our tabletop positions. Exhale, we press back into our downward facing dog. Toes tuck under, knees straighten, hips go up. And again, we can adjust. On that next exhale, our body folds, walking our hands and feet together, bringing them as close as we can bring them for that forward fold. Exhaling to get a little deeper. On that next inhale, we take a reverse swan dive, folding at the waist to open up back into our mountain and releasing down by our sides. Hopefully we're starting to feel okay. We're starting to feel warm. Our body's feeling awake. If we noticed any strangeness in our bodies, we can begin to make note of that and how we can best accommodate them for this practice. Before we move into our second flow, I want to remind us that if there are any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat for the Instagram Live, or if you're watching the VOD, you can leave them as a comment to this video and I will get to them as soon as I can. Reminding everybody this is our own space, this is not mine, this is all of ours, and we should all feel comfortable to ask any questions or make any comments should they arise. Second sun salutation. Arms go up. Exhale, fold. Moving a little bit more quickly this time. Body's getting warm. Inhale, our 90-degree monkey. Exhale, we fold, bending the knees, coming out into that downward facing dog. Inhale, we come into our plank. We can be high plank, we can be low plank. Elbows rotate in. Exhale, we come down to our chaturanga and inhale into our upward facing dog. If our toes are tucked into the ground here, we can release to the tops of our feet. We exhale, we open our hips, we press back, coming into that child's pose. We hold here for just a second. Take a couple of breaths, find that yoga breathing. Next exhale, we come into our tabletop, nice and stable. Our following exhale, our toes tuck under, our hips lift. Back to our downward facing dog. One inhale for good measure. And that next exhale, we bring our hands and feet back together. Our next inhale is our reverse swan dive. Finding our peace. Now we're going to take about 4 minutes and maybe run through 1 or 2 more of our sun salutations at our own pace. So if there's any issue with that, please leave a message in the chat here. Otherwise, I trust that we got our sun salutations down, and we can flow through them how we please for the next few minutes. I'll bring us back together in a moment, and we'll continue with the bulk of our flow. Remembering to keep that breath focused and strong, not letting our breath become passive again. We only just got it active, keeping that in mind. Finishing our sun salutation wherever we are. I'll give us just another few seconds to wrap this one up, and we'll continue forward. Please don't rush though. Finish that round. Don't feel pressured to go by the pace I want to go. We all know what we need individually better than anybody else. And so I adhere to that idea. If we do find ourselves back in mountain a little early, we can take just a second to find that yoga breathing again if we lost it, or just practice our purposeful breathing. Just before we get going on our bulk flow, we're going to do a quick little neck opener, release some tension there. We're going to take our left hand's going to go behind us. Our right hand is going to grab that wrist and start pulling out towards the right. We're going to drop our neck towards the right side, so it's like our body's making a C shape in the angle. Keeping our back nice and tall, we're just going to drop our head down and hold that shoulder across, trying to stand nice and tall. Might take a little adjustment to get it right, that's okay. Really feeling that pull along our upper traps and our neck muscles that are going into our shoulder. Feeling like our neck's getting a little longer. Next inhale, we'll come to our center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Right arm goes behind this time. Left hand grabs that right wrist. Head drops over to the left, body like a C shape. We just hold nice and tall, still breathing. Back into our center, release. We're going to start this off with a warrior flow. So starting on the, we'll start on the right side today. So moving into our warrior one first, our right leg is going to come out in front of us. Our left leg is going to come back just enough to avoid the heel touching the ground. If we notice there's some mobility issues in our hip today, we can have a much tighter stance. Our goal is to have a bend in the front leg that is just over the ankle. Now, most importantly, more than the bend in the knee or the leg far out behind us, we want to keep our hips in the same direction as our feet. If you think about putting your hands right on your hips, which direction are they facing? We want to make sure they're square with our forward direction. Might be a bit of a strange rotation, a little bit tough on the balance. We keep that in mind as our arms go up and we hold here. Taking just a couple of breaths. Next exhale, our stance opens up. We come into warrior two. We get a little bit wider. Our back left leg may shoot out a little further. We don't have to wiggle just like me. This is just for camera angle. Now our front leg, we have a deep bend here, a little bit closer. We want to be a little closer than I was there, about 90 degrees. Reaching towards the opposite ends of our space as if we're trying to wrap our hands around the world and grasp each other. We hold here. From here, our right hand rotates palm face up. We hinge down our backside, coming out into reverse warrior. If we notice that our front leg bends, we want to make sure we hold that bend here, getting just a little deeper. And our back left arm should be able to remove freely. We're not supporting it in any way. This is just tracing our back left leg. From here, we'll return back to our warrior two. And we'll rainbow towards coming around and framing our front right foot. So we'll rainbow down. We'll unrotate that left leg for a high lunge. We'll hold this for just a second. Maybe consider bringing both arms to the inside here. From this high lunge, we'll drop this left knee down. We'll release the top of our foot here
And we'll come into our komodo by trying to bring our elbows as close to the ground as possible on the inside of that right leg. I'll adjust to make myself a little easier to see there. So we're down in this low lunge. We got this high right leg here, and we're coming down on our forearms if possible. This is our working komodo. Hold for one more breath. Exhale, we come back up. We reframe this right leg here. We maybe allow ourselves to pull our foot back to make sure that our knee is right directly above our ankle here. We want to have a straight line from top to bottom. And we're going to put a lot of that weight in that front leg as we lift our arms up. Feel that mobility in our right hip here. Most of our weight, probably about 70 to 80%, should be in that right heel. We're all working on this side here. We can get a little deeper into it if we want to really stretch out those hips. Next exhale, we reframe and come down. We put some weight back in that left leg by tucking the toes under and extending the leg. Weight in the hands here. We shoot that right leg back to meet the left. We come into our downward facing dog. A nice little relief off some of that tension there. If we're like me and harbor a lot of tension in those hips from sitting down all day. Unfortunately, I still sit down all day long. We can take action here to pedal the heels a little bit, reaching down one ankle at a time to stretch out those calves as well. Relieve some stress in that department. And then we'll get just a little funky. Once we've had some bicycle bounce in there, we're going to take that right leg, extend that right leg nice and high up towards the ceiling, and we'll open for our three-legged dog, rotating at our hips. We can hold our three-legged dog right here, or if we have a lot of balance today, we're feeling very strong, we're feeling like we want to go a little further, we can open up into wild thing by bringing that right leg all the way across, lifting our glutes up. There's not too much weight in the spine. And again, we can stay in that three-legged dog. Just if we want to challenge ourselves a little more, we have this as an option. Next inhale, we'll rotate back in. Back to our three-legged dog. And as we exhale, we shift and tuck it through, dropping it into our pigeon, coming across nice and wide. Right knee towards right forearm. Left leg stays back, extends, drops our toes there. We're nice and easy on the tops of our feet. And we can stay right here for our pigeon, sitting into our hips, letting that left leg go a little bit further back. Or we can come down onto our forearms for a little bit more of a challenge. And if we have a lot of mobility today, we can come off those forearms and go all the way, head to the ground. I know the angle's a little rough. I assure you I'm not doing that today. But if that's in your practice, by all means. We hold our pigeon here, really opening up our glutes, our hip abductors and adductors that allow us to have that hip rotation. Next exhale, we lift back up onto our forearms. If we were not already there, we'll tuck our left toes in, extend that leg, weight in the hands here. We'll shoot that right leg back to meet the left. We'll take our weight forward from our downward facing dog into our plank. Elbows come in, we chaturanga down, and we're actually going to stay right here. So I'm going to adjust. We're not coming into that upward facing dog. We're staying face side down. We're going to go into a bow, sometimes referred to as locust. This is our power move of the day. Something a little different, a little new, a little challenge. To start, we're going to start with Sphinx. So much like upward facing dog, our elbows are tucked in nice by our sides. We're just going to lift marginally. This could also be referred to as cobra. Staying on the forearms, not on the hands here. Really working our lats, our back muscles, forcing them to activate. Still breathing. Slowly releasing, coming back down. Nice and easy. And here's where we get into our bow. We're going to take our feet here, bend them up. We're going to take our arms out behind us, grasp the ankles, and we're going to make that same movement we were making with Cobra. We're going to try to press our tops of our feet into our hands and our hands into our tops of our feet to allow us to lift up almost like we're doing a reverse wheel. We want to really try to get off the ground here, get as high as we can, pull those thighs up, and we just hold. Four breaths. Last one. Release ourselves down. Nice and easy here. We'll place our palms in the ground right next to our chest. And here we'll press up into our upward facing dog. A little difficult, that's for sure. We'll open our knees, we'll press back and come into our child's pose. Now some people might like to do hero's pose here. I think whenever we're working our spine in one direction, we want to make sure we work it in the other. Or at least make sure we straighten it out. So I encourage a child's pose here, probably until the end. We'll find a little time for heroes towards the end of this shindig. Still breathing, maybe trying to let our other commitments and stressors and issues wash away for a minute. Not worrying about the problems we might have worried about an hour ago. When we're ready, coming up into that tabletop position, we'll flexate through just a couple of cat-cows here. So really important, we got that stable tabletop. Wrists with our shoulders, knees with our hips here. We'll inhale into our cow first, and then into our cat. We'll do about 3 or 4 each. Back arches, gaze goes up. Exhaling into our cat. Arching in the other direction, our hips tuck under into our pelvis. Same idea. One more of each here. And then going back to that neutral table here. Toes tuck under, hips lift. We're back in that downward facing dog. Next exhale, we'll walk our hands and feet together. And coming into that forward fold. We're going to hold here just a smidge longer. Maybe grasping at our elbows. Maybe grasping our ankles. We're folding a little bit more deeply than the first few times. We can also grasp our ankles, the back sides there, to pull ourselves a little closer. Slowly releasing if we've bound ourselves. Next inhale, we'll take that reverse swan dive, coming all the way up. And releasing here, nice and easy, stretching out, taking a few steps, grabbing some water if we have some nearby, making sure we stay hydrated. We got the other side to do. Hopefully that was feeling okay. That wasn't too difficult. A little bit of a challenge, that's what we're going for. We want to make that Shavasana feel real good in about 15 minutes. Alrighty, other side. Left leg forward, right leg goes back. We're going into Warrior One. Same idea as before. If we went long on the first, we want to go long on the other, making sure those hips are nice and square in our forward-facing direction. Arms go up. We hold here for about 3 breaths. Next exhale, we open into that Warrior Two. Stance gets a little wider. Big bend in that front leg. Nice and long here. Our bodies are reaching very wide, very strong. Still breathing. Left hand rotates, palm face up. We hinge back. Tracing that back leg. Next exhale, we come back in towards our center. Nice and easy. We windmill to frame that front left leg this time. We come down. We drop that right knee. We release those right toes. We bring our left hand to the inside of our left foot this time. And much like before, going into our kimono, we come down onto our forearms the best of our ability. We really want to try to get down. This really opens up our hips. This is something I struggle with on the left side myself. It's all a challenge. And if we are struggling to get that left elbow down here, that's okay. I cannot do it today myself either. We're just working on it. Next exhale, we come back on our forearms. We reframe that left foot here. Maybe trying to get it just under the knee. We press that right leg back a little bit further and we get ready to lift up, weight in that front leg, really opening our hips here. Our left side's getting the work this time, maybe a little bit in our right quad. We're finding our balance nice and tall. Next exhale, we come down, reframe that foot. We tuck those right toes in, extend that right leg, weight in the hands here, and we shoot that left leg back. We're back in our downward facing dog just for a second. We do our bicycle kicks, our little pedals of our heels. Stretch out those calves one more time. Taking just a few here. We'll extend that left leg up when we're ready. Left leg goes nice and high towards the ceiling. And we rotate out for our three-legged dog. Knowing we can hold here, but if we want to move a little further, we can again open up into that wild thing. Making sure we don't put too much stress on that front shoulder. Holding for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale to come back. And we shift and tuck that left leg under, coming into our pigeon. Left leg to left knee, we cross and drop. Shooting that right leg a little bit further back, allowing ourselves a deep stretch in that front leg. And again, we can come down to our forearms if we like, or down all the way to our face, fits in our practice. We might notice that our left side is either more or less difficult than our right side, and that's okay. We generally find some imbalances amongst our flexibility. Can come and go pretty quickly depending how we sit, stand, walk, or sleep. Can make a little bit of a difference. I iterate it again because it is important. And we can work on these poses more than just once a week. We might develop some more progress, a little bit more stability in our opposite sides, strength and balance as well. If we're on our heads or our forearms, we're going to press up onto our palms here. We'll tuck our toes under, extend that right leg, and shoot that left leg back for our downward facing dog, where we will come forward into our plank. Rotate those elbows in, we chaturanga down and release. We hold here for just a second, we just kind of relax. Take a second to just breathe. We make sure our elbows are tucked in tightly to our sides. We're coming into our Sphinx or Cobra here. We just press up our upper half of the body, activating those back muscles, the ones near the spine and near the middle of our back. Should really feel them firing and getting some work done here to help lift us up. Slowly come back down. We take just a second here as we prepare to take our locust or our bow, whichever we want to call it. Sorry for some static, maybe from me pressing my head on the ground there. Much like the first time, we tuck our feet in, hands come out to meet the ankles, and we're going to use opposing forces to lift at both the pressure of the top of the foot and the hand. Whenever we're ready, we got 5 stable breaths from our lifted bow here. Challenging ourselves to go a little higher. Slowly coming down, nice and easy. Relaxing here for just a second. Our legs extend back out behind us. Placing our hands just below our chests here. Just below. When we're ready, we'll press up into our upward facing dogs. Shoulders still pulling away from our ears. Our lower half is pretty relaxed now, if possible. Exhale into our child's pose. We breathe here, nice and easy. A little recuperation after that tough one right there. When ready, we'll come back into that tabletop and we'll do just a couple of cat-cows. Finding our peace. Maybe taking one more of each here. And instead of going into our downward facing dog, we're actually just going to shift this right into our hero's pose. Sitting nice and tall. I will adjust to make it a little easier to see what's going on. The tops of our feet are relaxed into the ground. Stability moment, we just breathe. Preparing to start winding down. When we're ready, we'll swing those legs out in front of us. Coming into our staff position. We're going to do one forward fold here. Get that different movement pattern put together. Sitting nice and tall, a string lifting our upper half of our body nice and long. We'll extend out towards, maybe beyond those ankles or feet. If we want to go a little bit further, if we're close to our next little notable point, we can inhale deeply. And as we exhale, extend a little further. creating support levels for yourself. Slowly releasing, coming out of that one. Working our way down to the ground here. From our staff, we'll just engage our cores. Mostly our upper and lower abs here. Working our way all the way to the ground. We'll take just a second here to rock in fetal position. Really pulling the edge of our spine off of the ground. We'll feel that tension in our glutes if we're getting the right feeling. If we're getting the right feeling, and of course there are no actual issues, of course. Slowly rocking just a little bit. From our little rocking position, we'll extend our arms out toward left and right. We'll drop this left leg down. We'll take our right leg. We'll cross our body for our spinal twist. If we do really extend our arms out wide and our relaxed position and our hips are rotated, we're really trying to get that right knee down. We really want to think about trying to hold off, maybe relax on the rest of the world. Slowly changing sides. Right leg extends, left leg comes in. Same idea as before. We want to keep that left shoulder down, even if our hips are rotated. It's much more important than getting that car all the way across. Really easy on the spine. Slowly bringing it back in, nice and strong. We'll extend down and out, arms and legs down by our sides here. We'll find a relaxation. I'm going to transition into a lotus, our seated position. However, we can stay lying down in our Shavasana, true Shavasana. Should we please, the experience will be little to no different. It will be slightly easier for those of us who could be using a couple of tools, might find valuable. I'll just relax and calm down and de-stress. Our breathing slows. We get comfortable in this space. We stay in our Shavasana.
we just focus on our breathing, our reflection on this practice. We think of something we like and maybe something that we didn't like so much, and we consider why this happened. Or why we didn't and or do. Like this time we've had together today. I ask us all to reflect on this business week. Reflect on how we are doing mentally. Additionally, possibly just providing some conversation internally. We discuss some of the difficult points our body's been holding on to this week. Anything that causes us stress can be let go for a little while. This is our space. This is your space. We think about our upcoming weekend. We think about what the next week might have in store for us. We look neither with hesitation nor impatience, but knowing that we ourselves are the masters of our own mood. And it's responsible for all of us to make sure we take care of one another, especially now. We will be getting booted here shortly, so I do want to make some last minute announcements. While I'm rattling this off, please feel free to continue just drinking water and holding ourselves accountable for a minute. So with that, again, thank you. My name is Jack. I teach this every Friday for you guys. I apologize in advance if I jumbled for words a little bit. I'm a little bit more tired than usual after this practice, so please forgive me with that. I really appreciate you guys being here. It's important that we do things for each other, especially in a time like now. This has been a difficult week for me, and I know it's probably difficult for you guys as well. Whenever this is being viewed, reach out to those you care about. There's nothing that has to be done alone. I know those of us who are part of this are in shock about some of the events that have happened this week in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, and ask for us to do better. Love those around you, love those who are near you, love those who you don't love. We're all in this together. And kindness only moves us forward. With that, I encourage us all to take a few extra minutes to sit and just exist, thinking about how maybe we can be better and become the best version of ourselves. There's a chance that there will not be a live session next week. If that is the case, I will have a placeholder link in for the VOD, seeing as next Friday is my birthday, and I might have some family plans. So, regardless, there will be a form of yoga up for next Friday. Thank you, and namaste.